Yes. And you know what you just did? That's called interpret. So today we're going to be analyzing the speech, "Ain't I a Woman?" You guys ready?
Yes.
All right. So now we have two important words that I want you to understand. Those words are analyze and interpret. Because we're going to move over here to our learning objectives for today. And our main objective is this third one right here that says, I can analyze the true meaning of figurative language and a text. Okay? So let's write down our learning objective. I can analyze the true meaning of figurative language and she is talking about in the speech, okay? What does she mean when she says this? Why does she say this? What does this mean? We're going to take it apart, quote by quote, and we're going to think deeply, okay? Now there's a new word. Remember that word interpret I told you to write down earlier?
Yes.
Interpret is what we're going to do. We're going to interpret what she's saying and create meaning for ourselves. And then today, to understand that word interpret a little bit better, we're going to have our favorite friend, Dr. McLean, help us learn it today, okay? So, she's going to show us what the word interpret
means.
Hi, boys and girls. This is Dr. McLean, and I'm just here to teach you a little bit about some of our academic vocabulary for today. Well, remember, we have a word called interpret. Now, interpret means to just explain what something means in a different way. So, for instance, if somebody speaks one language and the other person speaks another language, if you interpret something, all you do is you explain what the person means. So you help this person speaking this language to communicate with the person speaking this language. So let's say this person is speaking French. Parlez-vous français? Parlez-vous français? And then person over here speaks Spanish. Que? Well, the person here in the middle can interpret what the French person says to the Spanish-speaking person and explain what it means in a different way. Well, voulez-vous français means something else. Okay, I don't know enough Spanish to go ahead and interpret that, but you'll get the picture. So if you're interpreting a piece of text, what you're doing is you're making meaning out of it. You are saying what the text means. Okay? So if we're reading the "Ain't I a Woman" speech, and you look at a quote, you're looking closely reading, you're looking at the quote, and you interpret what it means, you say, well, I think what she means when she says that, she means this, and this.
Okay, so I know it's funny, right?
Yes.
But I made that video so that you can understand the word interpret. And so that word interpret, it helps you, it means that you're making meaning of the words or the text, right?
You're saying
so
the
for
text in a
this,
different way.
she's talking in like stories and everything like that. So we have to like make meaning of it. Like, what does she really mean? So that, and when we do that, we are interpreting. We're interpreting, okay? And that's what we are. That's our goal for today. And that's what you started on for homework last night, right?
Yes.
So get out your graphic organizer where you wrote down your thoughts about what these specific quotes meant. And these are your questions, your discussion questions you came up with. Remember we made this graphic organizer together?
Yes.
All right, so here's your side of the questions. Now today our goal is, through these collaborative conversations that we have, we want to use the knowledge of our peer group to help us to understand something more deeply.
Okay.
You got it?
Yes.
And then what we want to do is we don't want to be bullheaded. Do you want to be bullheaded and say, okay, my way is the highway and what I think is what I think, and whether it makes sense or doesn't make sense, that's just what I think and I'm not changing it. Do you want to do that?
No.
No. If someone presents something to you and it makes sense, are you going to take it on?
Yeah.
Are you going to consider it?
Unless you have more evidence than the person that makes sense to you.
Yes, right. So if theirs doesn't make as much sense, then obviously you would go with the thing that makes the most
Sense.
or is the most
Logical.
logical. Good. Or is the most logical. Okay? So, but consider everyone's thoughts so that we can get to this deeper meaning. Let's start with question number 1. Question number 1 is going to be on the first side. And it talks about, in the speech, she says, where there is so much racket, there must be something out of kilter. I think that twixt the Negroes of the South and the women of the North all talking about rights, the white man will be in a fix pretty soon. Well, what's all this you're talking about? Okay? Remember we were trying to interpret what that meant?
Yes.
And on what she's saying. So the first question I want you to start with in your group is, who is she saying is doing all of the talking? And what are they talking about? Talk about that with your group right now. This one.
She's saying that she is saying that they all have something to talk about, and that the women of the South and the Negroes of the West are the ones who are talking, and they are talking about how they want
the white man to give them rights.
Yeah, they want they want the Negro rights back, and the women, and they want the Negro rights because they never had it, and the women rights. Go, Brandy.
Well, both the races were talking because the white people were talking about like they don't want them there.
No, because it said in the text, it stated that I think that twixt the Negroes of the Negroes of the South and the women of the rest all talking about rights. So they're talking about rights, and the women of the South.
The second question, what is she saying is doing all of the talking? What are they talking about? So Wilson, he said that she is talking to the children. She's saying the white man talk.
The people that are doing all the talking that I think is, because I got this from right here. It says the white man will be in a, no, it says the Negroes of the South and the women of the North. So I'm thinking that's who's saying it, plus Sojourner Truth, plus the people, what are they talking about? They're talking about rights, because right here in the same exact sentence it says all talking about rights.
I want also to infer what you're saying and answer the other question. What I think she's actually trying to say in this part is that there's like so much noise and so much disrespect. Something must be out of place, and everyone's talking about how they want to be treated. Who is doing a lot of talking is the white people and the African Americans. And they are talking about intellect. Intellect means that how smart you are, your intelligence, how you think and come to conclusions. What she means about when she said the white man will be in a fixed prison is that how the men treat each other, because there is a difference in how women treat each other and how men treat each other.
And she is talking about that she didn't get treated like she was supposed to get treated. She is talking about that she didn't get treated like she was supposed to get treated.
What type of understanding do you think we're getting?
He thought she was talking about this part.
No, this specific question. Who is she saying is doing all of the talking? In this quote particularly.
I think she was talking about
She said Twix, the Negroes of the South, and the women of the right.
And the women of the what?
No, North.
North. So who is she saying is doing all the talking?
The Negroes of the South and the women of
The women and what type? And the women and who else?
The white man.
The white man? Is she saying the white man is doing all the talking? Let's look back at that quote. Let's look at that text specifically.
the Negroes of the South.
Say it again.
The Negroes of the South.
And who else?
The women of the North.
So they're the ones doing all the talking? So they're doing all the talking. What are they talking about?
Rights.
Yeah, they're talking about for themselves,
Good.
for the black men.
Yes. So when you look at these questions, these specific questions, I want you to think specifically about, the exact quote they're telling you to interpret, and what does it mean? Okay. So you guys got that right on. That's the answer. So you can write that down over here in your My Thoughts After Discussion section, because that's right on. You guys have a great understanding right across from that. You can write that here. Good job. And make sure all of you guys right on, so you guys can all participate in the grand conversation.
What is the suggestion?
No, you just put in 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. How do we think we were doing on that question? Do we think we pretty much got that question answered with our group?
Yes.
Yes, sort of, mostly.
Yeah.
Okay, well, let's have a grand conversation and see if we can clear up some misconceptions amongst the group. What does your group talk about? Can somebody start off our grand conversation? Sorry, took your chair, didn't you? Go ahead and start us off, Tramel.
What my group said was like, on the second one, it says, who is she saying doing all the other talking? What are they talking about? What my group said is like, the women of the North and the Negroes of the South are like talking about rights. Dear Ryan.
In conjunction to what Tramel said, our group talked about how the question was what's all here talked about. We talked about the women of the North, like Tramel said, and the Negroes of the South, how they were talking about how they want their rights back, and then what we also talked about was like how Sojourner meant when she said that statement.
Like what she meant when she said the statement? Okay. I noticed you said something very interesting. You said they were talking about wanting their rights back.
I mean, they want their rights.
They want their rights. Okay, because back would insinuate that they already had them in the first place, and we know they didn't have them, right?
Yeah.
Right. So they wanted to get them. Did they have rights?
Because slavery started at a certain period of time. It didn't go back to a longer time period.
Because he said
Very interesting.
that they wanted to get them.
Point touche. Point taken.
You know how you do
Cool.
timeline.
Uh-huh.
Before that, there was no
There's no slavery.
There was none at all.
So then they were so they had rights, but then they got them taken away.
Oh, I stand corrected, young peoples. So you're saying basically that maybe they didn't have rights in America. They weren't treating them like they had rights, correct?
They had rights in Africa.
But
in
they
Africa,
really had rights.
they had rights.
But they really did.
And they
Before Europe took them to America.
and before they were brought to America. That is a very, very good point. Thank you for educating me.
Thank you.
I love my intelligent, brilliant students. You see how a peer learning community, you're only as smart as the people around you. Okay? And that's why you take advantage of them. Am I getting smarter from being around you all?
Yes.
Yes, because I can't do this by myself. You all are helping to educate me as well. Great.
So
Good job,
you're
y'all.
learning stuff.
Okay, I think we're good. Are we in agreement with that's what she's talking about in that specific quote?
Yeah.
She's talking about the women of the and the Negroes of the
South.
and they are talking about
Their rights back.
Yes, good. That was very specific. That was kind of straightforward. Make sure if you don't, make sure you put that over here in the same like line it up to that. To come to a consensus of what that means. A consensus means that we all agree, okay? Next question. What does she mean about the white men will be in a fix pretty soon? And why would they be in a fix? I'm going to model this for you, okay? Just come out and model it. Well, I think she means, well, between the women of the North and the Negroes of the South doing talking, and they're talking about rights. Since they're talking about rights, it's the Negroes, it's the women. And the white men are in a group that isn't Negroes or women. They're in a different group, right? The white men, I know that the white men have the rights, but the Negroes and the women don't have rights. I know that if the Negroes and the women are all talking about getting rights, then that's going to make, if I'm a white man, me as a white man kind of nervous, because I'm thinking, wow, I'm going to have to make some changes in my life. I'm going to have to give these people rights. That's a lot of people who want to change something, right? So when she says the white man will be in a fix pretty soon, I think that means he will be in trouble pretty soon. He will have a problem on his hands pretty soon. That's the way that I interpret that. Okay? And so I'm gonna put that down. I think this means she means that the white man will be in trouble pretty soon and will need to start giving other groups, women and Negroes, their rights. Okay? And why would they be in a fix for that question? They'll be in a fix because a lot of different groups are now putting pressure on them to give them their rights. So that's me showing you how I would interpret that, okay?
But wouldn't the Negroes would have got beaten on Mercer if they were trying to fight back?
You're saying, wouldn't the Negroes get beat worse? Not worse, sir, just worse, okay? Wouldn't the Negroes get beat worse if they try to fight back and get their rights?
Yes.
Oh, yeah. It's called the Civil War. It's called slave insurrections. You ever heard of that? You know what a slave insurrection is? It's when the Africans who were enslaved, when they tried to fight back and they would have revolts. Did you know that?
Yes.
Did you know that they did try to fight back while they were in slavery?
Yes.
Are you aware of that at all?
Yes.
Yeah, many people tried to fight back. Many people tried to run away. People didn't just stay a slave and say, okay, well, it's all over now. Okay? What you say?
Murder themselves? Didn't they like kill themselves because they didn't want to be there?
Some people did, yeah.
A lot of them.
Some people, yeah. I mean, so there was a lot of problems that happened. Now, how do we feel with interpreting now that you've done it with the group and you watched me model it explicitly? How do you feel? Can you do a thumbs up, thumbs to the side, thumbs down with interpreting text? How are you feeling as far as your ability to do that?
Could it be like in the middle?
Yeah, you can be in the middle somewhere. Just trying to get a feel for how people are feeling with that. Okay.
I think a thumbs up.
All right, cool. Let's move on to the next question. Move to number 2. This is mud puddles. Sojourner says, that man over there says that women need to be helped into carriages and lifted over ditches and have the best place everywhere. Well, nobody helps me into carriages or over any ditches or gives me the best place. And ain't I a woman? Why? What does she mean by this?
What did I see?
So you guys talk together. What? Remember, make sure everyone shares what should be about this.
Wait, what I think she means about this is that she needs the best place. Is that like she's a woman too, and just because
should have like the best place.
right, they should have the best place, and just because like
They should like get
we don't
treated
know
fairly.
like as the other white women, they get treated like they're supposed to, but like the African American, like no, they don't get helped over nothing. Like it says here, she doesn't get helped over ditches or puddles, or helped into carriages. Yeah.
But do you know this white people? The white man always tells her all this stupid stuff, like how the white man be treating her. Like I think that she trying to say
the white people nobody don't help her. When she was like, nobody carries me or over ditches. I think she mean that nobody's not helping her.
What I think she's trying to say is that like white women get helped into carriages and over ditches and over mud puddles, but she doesn't.
Right, like she always.
And I think why don't nobody help me? Why don't nobody help me into carriage?
That the man needs to help a woman, right? If the man needs to help a woman into a carriage, what does that say about the woman?
The man maybe help more.
They wanted themselves to like feel bad. And
Like, let's stay to one topic because now you're moving to Sojourner Truth, and that's not what I was talking about, right? My question is, if remember we're talking about men helping women into ditches, any man helping any woman, okay? Let's pretend it's a white man helping a white woman. Helping them into carriages. If the white man has to help the white woman into a carriage, what does that say about the white woman? Can she get into the carriage on her own? Probably. Do you think the man thinks that she can get into the carriage on her own? Why do you think that the man thinks that she can't get into the carriage on her own?
Because the men think that the women are not like strong, that they need strong to help the woman.
So remember where we stopped. We said that you said that the men think that the women can't really help themselves if they need help into carriages, right? And that they're not as strong, right? So, and they need to be helped over ditches and have the best places. That means that since the white men think that the white women aren't as strong, that's why the white men are saying they don't deserve as many rights, right? Because they're not as they're not as strong, they're not as able to do things for themselves, right? The men have to do everything for them, right? So they're saying, well, since we have to do everything for them, so that's the reason. So white men say
the women are not that strong so they can help themselves.
Yep, the women aren't that strong so they can't help themselves, right? And because they can't help themselves, that's why the white men say that they don't need
they don't need like a right, only they need because they help the women.
Yep, so because they aren't strong, and this word capable means able to do something for yourself, okay? And capable to do things they don't deserve rights. Okay? So then she says, nobody ever helps me into carriages and over mud puddles or gives me the best place. And ain't I a woman? So does Sojourner get help doing anything?
It's really supposed to get treated as men. The reason why she's saying that is ain't I'm the one. I should get treated the same way as men. I really supposed to get treated
because like the women do have like rights for a man to help them into carriage, and they think that the black women are strong to do things for them.
So, and just like you said, the white men think that go ahead.
The Negro women can help themselves because they think that the women are like strong, for they can help each other. They can help each other to get into the carriages.
So listen to that. If they think that the black women can help themselves, right? When it comes to black women, you guys can help yourselves. But for white women, they're saying, oh, you can't have rights because you aren't strong enough and you can't help yourself. She's saying, wait a minute. Well, for black women, you can clearly see that we can help ourselves. So does it make sense that women shouldn't have rights? If you know that women can actually help themselves?
they can't have right because if a Negro woman can do that, the white woman can do that too.
Yes. And you know what you just did? That's called interpret. 3, 2. Why don't you ask for Cheryl? And 1. Okay. So now we're on the question. What does Sojourner mean by her quote? That man over there says that the women need to be helped into carriages and lifted over ditches and to have the best place everywhere. Nobody ever helps me into carriages or over mud puddles or gives me the best place. And ain't I a woman? What does she mean by this, and what did you all talk about in your groups? Let's start us off, Malaya.
What me, Akenya, and Jada were talking about this, what you just said, is we were just talking about why she keeps repeating it and what her point is.
Well, we're not talking about that. We're talking about the question on the first page. What does she mean by this specific quote? That man over there says that women need to be helped into carriages, lifted over ditches, and have the best place everywhere. Nobody ever helps me into carriages or over mud puddles and gives me the best place. And they're not a woman. So that's specific quote, not about the repetition.
So we were also talking about kind of like that.
Okay.
So we were talking about what she means about this. So Kenya said, she kept saying that what she means about this is that these, that they won't, like, they will give it to white women, and they won't
give what to white women?
Give, like, hand them things, like, give them, like, put them, like, they would, like, do stuff for them, kind of. So, like what you said, they would, like, help them into carriages and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So we kept saying that they would do all those things for white women, but they won't do it for her, our black woman. Randy.
So what I agree with Malaya because that was kind of what my group was talking about, and I also want to add on to what Malaya said. Like she keep repeating I am a woman because like she wants the same treatment as like the white women do. Like she wants to get carried over mud puddles and get get the door open for the carriage. She wants that to happen to her.
No, call on Zawu.
I think that the white men say that the women like don't have they're not strong enough to help themselves and to.
Please contact the main office. Please contact the main office.
I think that the white men say that the white women need that they don't have they're not strong to help themselves over mud puddles or carriers, and they think that they need more rights than the woman because the woman the man only help the white woman and that they only need a little bit of right, and the stranger truth says that nobody helps her, and the white man says that the women don't have strong, and if the gender is right, says that nobody helps us to carry or mud puddles. She's saying that the women they do have strong to do those things without the men. Is it real?
What I think about what Zola has said about the question, why does truth keep repeating ain't I a woman throughout the speech, is that she keeps repeating ain't I a woman because each time that she says that think that she means that women deserve rights. That women deserve rights and should be treated with respect.
Okay, but somebody respond to what Zawul said. He said he laid too much out on the table for you to not address what he said. Were y'all listening to what he said?
I was.
Well, then you wouldn't. That would be your opportunity to ask him to clarify.
Can you please clarify what you said for they can understand?
Loud.
What I said is that the white men say that women are not like strong enough to help themselves and to carry it or do nothing for themselves, and they think that that they need the more rights about to control the Negro slaves, and that the white women are not strong enough to help themselves, and Sojourner too keeps saying that she's a woman because she's like help themselves. She needs to do everything by themselves, help her to mud puddles and get into carriages. And she's saying, can't the white woman do the thing? If she can't, the white woman can't do this.
Address that idea.
What I think, well, what Zawul said is he said that the men think that the women can't help themselves, so they can't even get in carriages by themselves. They can't go over mud puddles by themselves. So the men, literally, I've seen like videos and stuff and documentaries and not documentaries, but like movies about them taking stuff out of their hand because they're doing it, and the men will just do it.
Okay. In relation to what Zawul said, what I agree with him because he said like the white men think that the white women like they need much more help than the black women they need like carried over ditches and like help into.
And because the white women need so much more help and they're not as strong as men, that is the white men's argument that
They do not need as much rights.
so that's the white man's argument about why women don't deserve rights. Okay? Now, what does Sojourner say?
Ain't she a woman?
Keep going, Diamond. To further clarify what Zawul said.
Okay, and Sojourner Truth says like ain't like she's a woman, so she's like she should get the opportunity to like get helped into carriages.
No, that is not what she's saying. Zawul said it. If you understood what Zawul said it, you can clarify. No, you had your chance and you didn't clarify it. Zawul said it, and y'all are missing it. Zawul said it plain and clear. Juliana.
Zawul said that